Welcome to the Suspect Zone. I'm Miranda Silver-Polensky, and I'm so glad you're here. Before we dive in, I want to take a few minutes to let you get to know me, not just as the voice behind this podcast, but as someone who's been deeply moved by the cases I cover. Through this episode, you'll start to learn a little more about who I am, and why this story, in particular, matters so much to me. Lately, I've been covering a case I call Embers of a Secret, the Austin Yogurt Shop Murders. It's a case that shook an entire community to its core. On the evening of December 6, 1991, tragedy struck the capital of Texas. Austin sits in central Texas, about 80 miles northeast of San Antonio and roughly 200 miles south of Dallas, and at the time had a population around 500,000 to 1 million. In the early 1990s, though, many Austinites felt they were living in a bubble, a surprisingly liberal, proudly independent city tucked inside a traditionally conservative state. It was a place many Texans considered safe, a quiet town where families could grow and teenagers could chase the full teenage experience without the urban violence that haunted other big cities. That Friday night, Austin Police Sergeant John Jones Jr. was on duty as the city's sole homicide detective. A local CBS affiliate was filming him, following detectives across Texas to show what police work looked like in the bigger cities. Jones was wary, used to the camera crews coming and going with empty-handed stories. Little did he know that this night would become one of the defining moments of his career, and of the city itself.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a fire. It's coming from the yogurt shop. I think it's called I Can't Believe It's Yogurt. The whole place is on fire.
Okay, sir, take a deep breath for me. What's the address?
It's on West Anderson Lane. I think the number's 2949. Please, hurry. It's really bad.
All right, 2949 West Anderson Lane, correct?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, stay on the line. We've got fire and emergency units on the way. Are you seeing anyone inside, or is it too dangerous to get close?
I can't tell. The windows are glowing. Oh my God. I think I see people in there.
Go inside. Please stay at a safe distance. Help is almost there.
Fire crews arrived and blasted the flames, but inside the shop they made a horrifying discovery. 4 teenage girls had been shot execution style and then set on fire. The blaze was lit to cover up the crime, leaving a chaotic scene that would raise more questions than it answered. This was the Austin Yogurt Shop Murders. Jennifer Ann Harbison was born on May 9, 1974, the elder of 2 daughters born to Mike and Barbara Harbison, later Sarah Wilson. Raised initially in the Texarkana region, Jennifer moved with her mother and younger sister Sarah to Austin, Texas, in the late 1970s after her parents separated. An outgoing, opinionated, and driven teenager, Jennifer attended Lanier High School in Northwest Austin, where she excelled both academically and in extracurriculars. She served as president of the school's Future Farmers of America (FFA) chapter, competed on the track team in the 400 meters and 1,600 meters relay, and was a member of the Vikets drill team. A classmate described her as very opinionated, along with her corny jokes, and her geography teacher later said she was more excited about life than any kid I've ever known. Jennifer worked part-time at I Can't Believe It's Yogurt to help pay for her car, a dark blue Chevy S10 that her father had purchased, with the condition she also drive her sister and contribute financially. She previously had a job at an Albertsons before joining her friend Eliza at the yogurt shop as a senior in high school. On the night of December 6, 1991, Jennifer, 17, was closing the yogurt shop with Eliza Thomas, joined by her 15-year-old sister Sarah Harbison, and Sarah's friend Amy Ayers. Around midnight, a fire alerted authorities. Inside they discovered the bodies of the 4 girls, a massacre that shocked the Austin community. The murder remains unsolved to this day. Jennifer's ambition, leadership in FFA, and strong bonds with family and friends reflected her vibrant spirit, and her tragic death at such a young age continues to haunt those who remember her. Sarah Louise Harbison was born in Texarkana, the younger daughter of Mike and Barbara Harbison, later Sarah Wilson. Raised in Austin, Texas, Sarah grew up admiring and often emulating her older sister Jennifer. The two shared a close bond, strengthened by their similar interests and tight-knit family life following their parents' separation. Sarah attended Burnett Middle School and was a freshman at Lanier High School at the time of her death. Known for her kindness, intelligence, and humor, Sarah was described by friends as warm-hearted and spirited, with a maturity beyond her years. Like Jennifer, she was involved in Future Farmers of America (FFA) and showed interest in animal husbandry, including raising and showing livestock. Her involvement in FFA reflected her love of animals and nature, and she often participated in school and 4-H activities with enthusiasm. On the evening of December 6, 1991, 15-year-old Sarah accompanied her sister Jennifer to her workplace at I Can't Believe It's Yogurt in Northwest Austin, along with her friend Amy Ayers. The two girls were there to wait for Jennifer and her co-worker Eliza Thomas to finish their shift so they could all go to a sleepover. Tragically, all 4 girls were brutally murdered inside the shop that night. Her loss devastated the Austin community and left a permanent scar on those who knew her. Bright, caring, and full of potential, Sarah's life was stolen just as it was beginning, her memory forever entwined with a case that remains unsolved. Eliza Hope Thomas was born on May 16, 1974, in Austin, Texas, to parents Maria and James Thomas. She was the only child in a close and loving family, raised with strong values of kindness, independence, and curiosity. Eliza's thoughtful and artistic spirit shone early, and she carried a quiet confidence that made her beloved by teachers and classmates alike. A junior at Lanier High School, Eliza was an exceptional student who balanced academics with extracurricular activities. She was a devoted member of the band, playing the clarinet, and also sang in the school choir. Friends described her as shy at first but deeply loyal and witty once you got to know her. She had a love for animals, particularly cats, and was known for her artistic flair and gentle heart. Eliza worked part-time at I Can't Believe It's Yogurt on Anderson Lane, where she often took closing shifts. It was a way to earn extra money and take on responsibility, something she did with maturity beyond her years. On the night of December 6, 1991, Eliza was closing the shop with co-worker Jennifer Harbison, joined by Jennifer's sister Sarah Harbison and Sarah's friend Amy Ayers. That night, all 4 girls were murdered in one of the most tragic crimes in Austin's history. Eliza was just 17 years old. Her life was marked by quiet strength, talent, and promise, a young woman whose future held great things. Her memory endures in the hearts of those who knew her and the community still seeking justice. Amy Lee Ayers was born on January 31, 1978, in Austin, Texas, the youngest of the 4 girls tragically lost in the 1991 Austin yogurt shop murders. A bright, free-spirited, and endlessly curious teenager, Amy was known for her sense of humor, her love of animals, and her warm, outgoing nature that endeared her to nearly everyone she met. At the time of her death, Amy was an 8th grader at Burnett Middle School, where she had recently joined the Junior Future Farmers of America. Passionate about caring for animals, she was especially proud of raising a lamb named Tootie as part of her FFA activities. Her dream was to one day become a veterinarian, combining her deep compassion with a strong sense of purpose. Amy was described by friends and teachers as funny, kind, and a bit of a prankster, with a magnetic personality that could light up a room. On the evening of December 6, 1991, Amy made a last-minute decision to join her friend Sarah Harbison at the I Can't Believe It's Yogurt shop where Sarah's older sister Jennifer Harbison and her friend Eliza Thomas were working. The 4 girls planned to have a sleepover after the shop closed. Tragically, all 4 were brutally murdered that night. Amy was just 13 years old, the youngest victim, and the only one found in a different area of the shop, suggesting she may have tried to escape. The case was never solved. Her loss left a profound void in her community, and her life, so full of laughter, empathy, and promise, continues to be honored by those who knew and loved her. On the day itself, the teens' routines were ordinary by late 1990s teenage standards. Jennifer picked up Sarah and Amy from the North Cross Mall after they closed, then they stopped at Mr. Gaddy's Pizza before returning to the yogurt shop to finish the shift. Eliza's mother, Maria Thomas, stopped by the shop around 9:30 p.m. to say hello and buy some yogurt, then left as normal. Between 9:30 and 10 p.m., a man described by a former security man, Daryl Croft, as fidgety and wearing a green military-style jacket, was seen in the shop with a small group of people. Croft could not place him in a lineup later, but his odd behavior and the green jacket stood out in the recollections of witnesses. Witness accounts from around 10 o'clock to 11 p.m. described a couple who had just seen a pair of likely men sitting near the register, their faces obscured by jackets. The 2 chairs those men occupied would be the only ones left on the floor after the shop closed, according to a witness who left around 10:47 p.m. Jennifer and Eliza were the shop's only employees that night, but Sarah and Amy were believed to be helping with cleaning duties toward the back before the late shift ended. The four girls were not seen together for the last time in the lobby, and so their parents assumed they'd gone to the North Lamar animal pens as part of Lanier's off-campus routine. Meanwhile, just before midnight, an Austin patrol officer named Troy Gay spotted smoke coming from the Hillside Center Strip Mall and alerted dispatch. Firefighters, including Renee Garza, arrived to find a store that looked closed from the outside but burning inside. They forced entry, extinguished the flames, and began clearing the rear of the shop. It was then that Garza's partner, David DeVoe, pointed out an unmistakable horror. Something that looked like a body, back there. What investigators found changed the city forever. 4 young women lay near the back door, 3 stacked atop one another and set ablaze, with a fourth a few feet away. They had been forced to undress, bound, gagged, and shot in the head before whoever lit the fire attempted to destroy the crime scene. The bodies were severely burned, unrecognizable at first glance, and their identities would be confirmed through a combination of vehicle identification and process of elimination. The next days and weeks would reveal that the 4 victims were Jennifer Harbison, Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, and Amy Ayers. The case stunned Austin and drew national attention. Local officials and residents would come to see the murders as a turning point in the city's history, the moment Austin lost its perceived innocence. Police determined that the back door had been left unlocked and that the front door keys were left inside, suggesting the killer or killers had entered during closing and left through the back after the crime. A robbery had occurred, with about $540 taken from the register, most of it from the cash drawer. The last cash register transaction occurred at 11:03 p.m., a no-sale entry that suggested the shop had been opened for the robbers to access the money. The arson investigation concluded that the fire began around 11:42 p.m., more than 40 minutes after closing and just 39 minutes after the no-sale entry, implying the perpetrators had remained in the shop for roughly an hour before lighting the blaze. The scene produced disturbing evidence: journals and cups scattered around the bodies, possibly used as accelerants, chocolate syrup and other yogurt products around the victims, and signs that the crime scene had been deliberately contaminated. Investigators speculated that styrofoam cups full of lighter fluid, or the flame-enhancing properties of stacked styrofoam, might have contributed to the intense fire, though some accounts suggest the cups themselves may have been an aftereffect of burning material. From the outset, authorities believed multiple offenders were involved. The autopsy indicated multiple shooters, with Amy Ayers having been shot twice in the back of the head with a different caliber than the others, suggesting at least 2 gunmen. Yet early statements also noted no sexual assault, though later autopsy details would remain sealed by the Travis County District Attorney as the case stretched on. The incident produced a wave of tips and rumors, a clutter of speculation about drugs or a drug-related motive, and even connections to other local robberies in a comparable case in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Some investigators believed the crime began as a robbery, with victims killed during a late-night cleanup, though the full truth would remain elusive as evidence was washed away by water and the fire's destruction. In the days that followed, the community struggled to process the loss. Lanier High School mourned 3 of its students, and the city wrestled with a stark, unsettling realization: violence could come to the most ordinary corners of a city that had always felt safe. Counselors were deployed, vigils were held, and the school's close-knit communities, FFA members, athletes, and friends, searched for a way to heal. From the outset, authorities believed multiple offenders were involved. The autopsy indicated multiple shooters, with Amy Ayers having been shot twice in the back of the head with a different caliber than the others, suggesting at least 2 gunmen. Yet early statements also noted no sexual assault, though later autopsy details would remain sealed by the Travis County District Attorney as the case stretched on. The incident produced a wave of tips and rumors, a clutter of speculation about drugs or a drug-related motive, and even connections to other local robberies in a comparable case in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Some investigators believed the crime began as a robbery, with victims killed during a late-night cleanup, though the full truth would remain elusive as evidence was washed away by water and the fire's destruction. In the days that followed, the community struggled to process the loss. Lanier High School mourned 3 of its students, and the city wrestled with a stark, unsettling realization: violence could come to the most ordinary corners of a city that had always felt safe. Counselors were deployed, vigils were held, and the school's close-knit communities, FFA members, athletes, and friends, searched for a way to heal. As investigators pursued possible leads, they explored potential connections to other local incidents and fresh witnesses who had been in the yogurt shop began digging into the lives of Pierce, Welburn, the boys and girls of the Hillside Center area watched and waited for answers that would not come quickly. Robert Springsteen. The case has lingered with Austin ever since, a haunting reminder that innocence had been attending McCallum High School at the time. This is not Eliza the end of the story. One of the murdered girls had also briefly attended McCallum before transferring to Lanier High, and the investigators found no evidence that